breaking news from CBS 17 News.
I was scared because I've never had to go through that before.
Breaking news at 5, a 3-alarm fire in a downtown Raleigh high-rise.
I heard a boom, like glasses explosion, and then I seen flames coming up to my window.
Several people hurt trying to get out of the way of the smoke and flames.
He said, "That's not a fire alarm. Your building is on fire."
Now at 5, live team coverage of the fire and aftermath.
A 3-alarm fire at an apartment complex run by the Raleigh Housing Authority forced the evacuation of elderly residents. Good evening, I'm Marius Payton.
I'm Angela Taylor. It is all happening at Glenwood Towers in downtown Raleigh. CBS 17's Colleen Quigley starts our live team coverage from there tonight. Colleen.
Well, Angela and Marius, the latest numbers we have from EMS officials are that 6 people had to be taken to the hospital, mostly for smoke inhalation. Nobody got burned or anything like that, but there were more than 100 other folks who needed to be evaluated. I want you to take a look up above me. This is the building, and you can actually see there are still some firefighters working on the 9th floor where that fire started. If we can now, I want to take you out to some video from what this looked like earlier. We're told that this fire started just after 1 o'clock here at the Glenwood Towers apartment. I spoke with several people who live in the building, and a lot of the folks who said they lived on the lower floors told me they didn't even know there was a fire until Raleigh police officers or firefighters were banging on their door. They said once they got outside and looked up, they realized the danger here was really, really real. Now, as for people who live on the 9th and 10th floor, one woman told me there was smoke coming up through her windows, through the floor, and she ultimately had to run for her life out of the building. Take a listen.
This was real serious, so I knew to get out or it was my life between deaths.
So did you go running down the stairs?
I ran down the stairwell. I couldn't go down the stairwell next to my apartment because it was so smoked out, so I ran at the other end of the building just to get out the building.
Wow.
Because my floor was totally smoked.
Now, we're told most of the people who live here are 50 and up. Many of them are wheelchair bound or have mobility issues. And the fire chief told us it was very, very challenging getting everybody out of here safely. Now, we also minutes ago just got an update that at this point, the 9th and floor is not livable. The damage is so bad. So those people are going to have to be taken elsewhere. Floors 1 through 7 here at Glenwood Towers are okay. So they're going to be bringing those people back in groups. Now, as for floors 8 and then 10 through 14, that is still pending. They got to go and look through those apartments to make sure everything is okay there. Now, the big question tonight, how in the world did this fire get started? That is still under investigation, although I have been told that they have narrowed it down to the exact apartment where it started. So we, of course, will stay on this story and bring you any updates as soon as we get them. Reporting live in Raleigh, Colleen Quigley, CBS 17 News.
Colleen, thank you for the very latest. The first calls about the fire came in around 1 this afternoon, and as fire crews rushed to the tower, the big trucks blocked off streets and sidewalks. Here's a live look at downtown traffic right now. Glenwood Towers is near the corner of Glenwood and West Johnson Street. CBS 17's Robert Richardson is live downtown. And Robert, you've been there all afternoon. What's the scene look like right now?
Yeah, Marius, take a look behind me. You can see a bunch of fire trucks still here around the corner, just out of view. There are a bunch of ambulances. Now, I was told that there were over 20 ambulances that came into this area, some from Johnston County, some from Harnett, even Granville County, to provide support. Colleen was talking about all of the people and some of the medical issues that they already have. Some are on oxygen tanks. So they wanted to have all of these ambulances close by, and there are a lot of closures in this area, but they're trying to get cleared out as soon as possible.
Firefighters use the first floor as an operations center and the 8th floor, one below the fire, as what's called a rehab center for recovery and rest as the rescuers switch shifts. Even though the fire was out by 3, many of the first responders had to stay on site to search and assess.
They're doing the air monitoring on them now to make sure that they're safe. They'll start bringing, the people back into those units, and they'll start relieving units out here, and then, they'll start opening things back up.
It's a long process, clearing one floor at a time and getting those residents back. The chief told me they asked a large group of the evacuees to raise their hands when their floor was called. I saw a bus arrive at the building transporting some tenants.
When people are trying to evacuate their apartments and they're trying to evacuate the building, it's not like they're really prepared and they can grab stuff and go. And so oftentimes you'll find that they don't have jackets, they don't have proper clothing, and so that's when we do our very best to, again, meet their needs and take care of stuff like that. So it is a challenge.
First responders also did medical evaluations of well over 100 residents. Ambulances took 6 to the hospital.
Now, while that tape was playing, just in the past minute, we've had an officer come through removing some of the crime scene tape that was here. So it looks like they're going to start opening up some of the roads. I checked in with a barbecue restaurant that's right here on the corner. Their evening dinner service opens at 5 o'clock. They were still planning on going ahead with service, even though there are some closures in the area. Coming up at 6, we'll have a better update for you about the impact on businesses, as there is some Friday nightlife that will be taking place this evening. Reporting live in Raleigh, Robert Richardson, CBS 17 News.
Robert, thank you. CBS 17 brought you this breaking story. When it first happened, we did live cut-ins, sent out push alerts, and had live video on CBS17.com. You can stay up to the minute with breaking news using the CBS 17 mobile news app.
And today's other big story, all of this rain.
Yeah, Wes told us the rain would start this morning, and he was right. Now the question is, when is it going to stop?
Well, guys, it's our wettest day since Michael and Florence. It's also very cold outside, and it's not over yet. As you can see, a wall of green behind me. So it may let up to some drizzle or light rain, and then it may intensify again to some more moderate rain. We haven't had any severe weather, and it's a long shot today, but the chance is definitely not zero. And we have our first little bit of thunder and lightning over here in between Pittsboro and Siler City in Chatham County. That's west of the Triangle. Otherwise, as you can see, plenty of rain here now, and there's still a little bit more to come down in South Carolina that will have to move over our area before it all wraps up in the overnight hours. And the weekend will not be as wet or as cold. I mean, the rain all day was enough, but you add in temperatures that were pretty much locked in the 40s and low 50s today, and that's where we stand. So as we go forward into tonight, it's still going to be fairly wet for the next several hours. We'll finally start to tone down the rain chances very late tonight, as temperatures will actually bump up a few degrees before going back down by tomorrow morning. And then, like I said, not as wet this weekend. I'll walk you through both days and tell you what to expect in a few minutes.
Sounds good, Wes. And if you haven't done it already, make sure to download the CBS 17 weather app. You can sign up for weather alerts impacting your community. It is free. Just look for CBS 17 in your app store.
These terrorizing acts are despicable and have no place in our country.
A man with ties to North Carolina now in custody, accused in the recent bomb scare attacks. Police in South Florida arrested 56-year-old Cesar Sayoc. Sources working close to the investigation say Sayoc does have a criminal history, including a 2002 charge of making a bomb threat. Federal investigators tried to cover the suspect's van, but the tarp came off, exposing pro-Trump and pin stickers and decals all over the van. You see him there. The FBI used DNA and fingerprint evidence to identify Sayoc.
There is also a possible DNA connection between samples collected from pieces of 2 different IEDs mailed in separate envelopes and a sample previously collected from Sayoc in connection with an earlier arrest down in Florida.
Here's what we know about Sayoc's North Carolina connections. In 1983, he was a walk-on player at UNC Charlotte. He wasn't on the team long, only playing in 11 games. Then in 1999, the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office says he was arrested and accused of having a stolen car.
UNC President Margaret Spellings made it official today. She is leaving the University of North Carolina next year. Today, during an emergency meeting of the Board of Governors, Spelling announced it was her decision to quit midway through her 5-year contract.
I think we all reflect, on our professional and personal lives and, the discernment of all of that. And I've just concluded that, my 3-year anniversary in March was really the right time for me.
The Board of Governors accepted her resignation and will keep paying her salary until March, so she'll get $500,000 as she leaves and another $35,000 in moving expenses.
3 former county workers all entered guilty pleas for their part in the county's missing money scandal. Murray Parker paid the county back more than $74,000. Veronica Guerin paid back $80,000, and Troy Ellis returned $21,000. Back in August, Laura Riddick, the former Register of Deeds, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for embezzling almost $1 million from Wake County.
You know, today we stand here with 4 individuals who had no prior records, who are all convicted felons. All will be spending tonight in a jail cell or prison cell. Each have gotten an active sentence, and we have recovered over $1 million. I think this is a good result for the people of Wake County.
As she said, the county already covered almost $1 million thanks to these plea agreements. Riddick will repay almost $67,000 over the next 3 years.
$40 million. That's how much Holly Springs wants you to pay for a bond this season, this election season. Consumer investigator Steve Sprazier wants to get answers about what it would pay for.
Signs like this are popping up all over Holly Springs, alerting folks of the fact that there's going to be a transportation bond on the ballot come November 6th. Well, some folks are wondering who's behind these signs and who's paying for them. A viewer sent us this question. I'm wondering about the town of Holly Springs' efforts to encourage voters to pass a $40 million transportation bond. I feel they are skating a very thin line and would love for you to investigate. The town says the signs are neutral, only alerting folks to the bond, not telling people how to vote.
It is illegal for the town to use town funds to provide educational materials, which are what these are.
I found out how much money the town is using when I made a public records request. The town has spent $772 on educational postcards, $635 on informational signs, and $145 to rent a meeting space at Holly Grove Elementary School. The $40 million bond would be used to do things like add more lanes to roads in towns which are congested, improve parts of the downtown, and widen parts of the 55 bypass, as well as Holly Springs and Sunset Lake roads.
We've got larger projects that we would seek funding partnerships for with NCDOT.
The bond would add a nickel to every $100 in valuation, and those nickels would add up. So, for a $100,000 home, it would add $50 to the annual tax bill, $150 for a $300,000 home, and $250 extra bucks to the tax bill of a $500,000 home. The meeting space the town is paying for here at Holly Grove Elementary is for a public hearing on Thursday, November 1st. People will be able to come in and ask questions, as well as look at plans for any projects that the bond would fund. Getting answers for you, I'm CBS 17 investigator Steve Sprazier.
Steve, thank you. Right now, President Trump is on his way to the Tar Heel state.
Just ahead, a live update from CBS 17's Michael Hyland from Charlotte and the president's big rally. Plus, the bombing scare suspect has ties to our state. That's all coming up.
Definitely not a Chamber of Commerce day, one where you want the president visiting our state. Wasn't pretty out, no doubt about that. It changes this weekend. Coming up in your forecast, I'll talk about how much longer this rain sticks around and how much warmer it's going to get this weekend. All coming up in a few minutes.
Plus, we are monitoring the latest developments after a high-rise fire forces people out of their homes. The latest from downtown Raleigh when we come back.